Yesterday, we pushed up to the Battletech playlist some generalized Lance Tactics 101. I'm looking at some of the fundamentals of kind of a generic trooper Lance list and what would that look like. Now I want to break off and look at a recon Lance, a support Lance, and these are just kind of some ideas because ultimately the Battletech tabletop, you could run whatever you want. I mean, you could have a battle with 2 mechs, you could have a battle with 6 mechs, whatever it's going to be. But in the narrative, in the lore, the Lance 4 mechs is kind of the operating unit, and that's what the houses and mercenary companies strive for, supported by combined arms and infantry and other types of things. So I try to build things out with 4. And what we're looking for is redundancy, meaning I've got a lot of stuff that works in the same range band for shooting. I'm looking for something to contribute all the time. And I'm looking for an opportunity. That kind of influences the Lance selections that I'll take. Ideally, right, tons of armor, really fast, lots of guns, and I don't want to pay any type of battle value. We need to kind of have these checks and balances. Otherwise, I could build you a fantastic Lance of amazing assault mechs. But I'm going to pay an absolute fortune for it, and there might be some weaknesses. So we need to balance all this out. I say that because when I say support Lance, this is what I'm thinking of. And it's good to kind of get that tactica going that we can add to it or adjust it. So a support Lance for me is 3 mechs. I know a Lance is 4, but 3 mechs, because we're going to look in a moment, or if it's combined arms, filling in for the 4th, 3 to 4 mechs that are going to look to get into a favorable position on the hex map. And 2 things are going to happen once they are in that favorable position. They're going to look to support my other advancing machines and vehicles by laying down lots and lots of firepower. That could be PPCs, that could be autocannons, that could be long-range missiles. Usually it's autocannons and missiles because they tend to have a lot of range and less heat. If we're talking inner sphere, you want to be able to clear the heat. I want to be able to fire every turn. So if I'm advancing my Lance up the center of the table, I'm going to have a support Lance of riflemen and Jaeger mechs just blasting away, or a support Lance of blackjacks just absolutely blasting away, laying down that supporting fire as I move towards mission objectives. Second is opportunity. Opportunity. Look, stuff happens. You move somewhere, you do something. I don't necessarily know. Well, actually, I don't know what you're going to do on the tabletop. I can try to make some tactical guesses. I can try to force you into a certain area based on the scenario, but still working on the mind reading thing. I don't know what you're going to do. Likewise, you might make a mistake. And I don't mean that by a critical projection. We all make mistakes, or we do something, or we take a risk. We take a little bit of a gamble. So a support Lance, in my opinion, is not only supporting with firepower on the tabletop the advance of my unit objectives, it's waiting for an opportunity. It's just waiting for something to show up, and then just light them up and chew off some armor or blow off some legs and arms, do some damage. But long range is key. Sidebar, my opinion, autocannons. Autocannons. Yes, you've got ammo. You've got to deal with that. We're going to be shooting. If I'm in range, I'm shooting. But I'll stock up on the ammo full. Single battle. Am I ever going to really run out on that? Long-range missiles. Yes, you've also got some indirect. You could mix the two. Yes. I have experimented with PPC support Lances. Great damage, great range, a lot of heat. A lot of heat, and I need to be firing everything every single turn. So again, riflemen, if I'm going super old school, kind of classic unseen, now reseen again type mechs. If I'm looking for a really good support Lance, Jaeger mechs, and if I'm looking to save some battle value and have some movement, a little more dynamic with movement, then I'll look at blackjacks with the AC2s. So this idea of that firepower. Now, 3 or 4 depends on combined arms or not, depends on battle value. I'm moving up. I'm getting to the center of the hex map a little bit pulled back, so kind of north of my deployment zone. Or I've occupied part of City Fight, City Tech, where I've got buildings blocking on the left and right from long-range firepower, and I've just got a clear view of anything that lights up. Maybe there's even a group of small buildings in front. That means my leg shots, anything you shoot at my legs is going to be eaten up by the buildings. And even with the self-destruct building rules, I could take a couple of hits, whether it's a light, medium, hardened building. So I'm in position. I'm going to light you up. You're not going to let that happen. You're going to have to send something out to deal with my support lance. And because it's hanging back somewhat, or it's in a good position, and we'll talk about placement in a moment, this idea of siphoning units. There's some core tactica in that, wargaming tactica. The idea is you'll send something out to skirmish or drive off or blow up my support lance. You have to. Now, what that is, what that looks like, that really depends. I don't want to move away, right? I could pull back, I could redeploy, sure. But then I'm not supporting. I need to be out there every turn laying down firepower. So I need a little something that can skirmish with you, can dance with you, can engage with you. That's where I find a light mech or a medium mech comes in. You're going to look to get close to that support lance and bring as many weapons to bear. So something like a Jenner with its lasers and its speed. Something like Hunchy, that autocannon 20. Everybody's got a plan, no problem. But as soon as I'm in range, even if I need 12s to hit, you're starting to sweat. You're starting to smoke it out. Something that can intercept, work as a buffer. That's if I want it packaged and wrapped up in one lance. If I'm playing combined arms and some battle value, and this I often do, my long-range lance of longbows, my long-range lance of Jägermechs, I'll take a Demolisher tank or two and park it next to it. That's got the 2 autocannons, redundancy. It's got crazy mad armor. It's got the turret 360. If my lance is there, then maybe 5-8 hexes ahead, hopefully in good position, is the Demolisher. Hold down, hidden, project that area with those 2 autocannon 20s on the turret. That's a deterrent. That's a deterrent, usually in bigger battle value games. So you're going to need something as a blocker or as a unit working with that. That's my definition of a support lance. What that looks like and how it plays out and how you use it is very important. Now let's sidebar into siphoning units. Position is key. Obviously, if there's some great area terrain that I can occupy or mission critical, I'm going to do that. But generally, I like to have my support lances, if they have extreme long range, off to the side in places. Because then you have to make a decision. You're like, do I really want to kind of go all the way across the hex map, all the way down the side to engage that support lance? Maybe I get stopped, maybe I don't. But even if I fully skirmish and destroy it, then I'm out of the action, right? The action is mainly midfield in the center band. I'm out of the action. And if I destroy it, then I got to burn turns getting back. So whatever, you send out some tanks, you send out some hovers to engage my support lance. It's not going to go down without a fight. Let's say you do drive me off, you blow me up, you force me away. Well, I've siphoned off those units that you've sent. I've siphoned them off from your primary group moving in to engage. Now that you've destroyed me, sad face, or you've driven me off, you're out of the battle. I've siphoned them off a little bit more for them to burn turns getting back into the battle. Obviously, the bigger the map, the bigger the range, the better. But this idea of also a support lance being a siphoning unit. So Tactica 101, looking at the lances, understanding that, yes, it's the lore, it's the narrative. You can kind of play what you want. But there's some Tactica value in building a list and going through these things where we try to leverage the best we can. And for the deficiencies or places where it's weak, understanding those and trying to minimize that as best as we can.